In the very recent past, I was diagnosed as having cancer. And I'm in chemotherapy at the moment, and it shows because my hair is falling. And I've been writing a number of meditations on the subject. I'd like to read 2 or 3 of them. They're short. There's no way to tell this. Fiction won't accommodate it. Verse does not do. Essays seem a contrivance. Imagine lying in a bed in a room with expensive, strange equipment. For 3 days, food has been brought to you on a tray and is placed on a table that wheels to the bedside. You got to this bed because you had been short of breath, and when your tender personal physician took pictures of your lungs, he found liquid where it should not normally be, fluid that won't recede. So he got you to this bed. Someone has already withdrawn much of that fluid. Someone put a tube in your back, nestled it into your lung just like that. You held a nurse's hand and scarcely felt it. You filled a plastic bag. Lots of fluid, they said. Did I break any records, you said? In normal life, you have a sense of humor and a way of putting things. No, they said, and now you are scared because they made a point of the quantity of the fluid and did not seem to smile at your way of understanding it. No, there is no way to tell it. There's no way to tell this because after these sudden events, you lie in a bed in a room with expensive, strange equipment, with a curtain that divides the room drawn so that the sunset is blocked. You do not have a window bed. After these sudden events, a not-so-tender fellow, the body mechanic who drew your fluids, the smartest man in all the rooms, strides in to tell you procedures will take longer because there are, this after some searching, you guess, there are death cells in the fluid. Not any slow-growing kind, not any kind that will wait for years. Body mechanics know them to be the kind that eat healthy cells like nothing. There is no way to tell this because the rifles are already raised. Now you feel that prayer, which you are otherwise ready enough to offer, is like asking that the bullets not travel straight, that the missile make a loop. There is no way to tell this because you want to say, what you want to say is simply that the mind can outwit cancer, can't it? Can't it? And you have not got to the point of saying that. You don't know if you ever will, and believe it. What you know is that the striding body mechanic, the smartest man in all your rooms, tells you he has found death cells, and he knows one when he sees it. So this is not fiction, poem, or essay. I have at the moment one small hope, that when I find the form for this material, I will have found some way to be released from it. That maybe art is our technique of freeing ourselves from the grotesques that progress in our fluids. What is the good of a second opinion? Soon I will get one, and a third, and maybe a fourth. Certainly there is the good that different doctors may be ready with different kinds of treatment, that the university hospital may have an even better strange machine than the one in my last room, and a protocol that promises more. But what about this good? That someone will say, whoops. That an even smarter medic than the last fellow will emerge and say, we will have to take it back. We will have to take it all back. Not bloody likely, I'd say. Medical science knows its germs. Meantime, I look out the window of my study and form another kind of second opinion. A Detroit squirrel travels my telephone cable with a large autumn nut in its mouth. My back lawn that needs mowing and reseeding thrives in its own green way. Trucks on Main Street, not far from me, go about their businesses. Other people's windows reflect the sun in back of which other lives wake. Each of these things is, of course, something. But must I say, of course? Here's my second opinion. I can take out the words, of course. I will not sound gushy if I just say each of these things is something. I don't have to say, of course, to dab out the taint of cliché. And if my words don't make me famous, if they don't cut in the shark-infested waters of New York or the lion's dens of academia, that is okay too. I carry the nut I carry. I tell myself this now, my own brand of second opinion. The astronaut. What blast-off motivation took him on his extrication and past all language limits to a brilliant point of view? They say that through transparent ceilings he saw what were his feelings. Dust returned to dust without him. God, think on what he knew. Were earthy forms, churchy norms, not lucid from this lucid pew? There's more or less. Let's leastways guess that on and 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 on he flew. I want to turn a corner again and read a poem that is entitled On Having Famous Friends. It was written in reaction to reading other people's poems in which they drop names, and spurred me to write this name-dropping poem. On Having Famous Friends. Even modest Wendell Berry has them. His lines to old Ken Kesey let us know, and to Alan Tate. Me, I have no big-time ties. I'm not big-time humble. You heard of Lou, called Rex by Dan and me, his camping partners? Only if you live on Muirland in Detroit. And of Dan, the guy that Rex calls Pecos? Another vegetarian who built his home in St. Clair County. Or Jim, perhaps, whose article on Roland Barthes got published. But who has read it? The editors. Christ, I need to write a poem to Stephen King or Dylan Thomas, inspired when they dropped in and we got drunk. Or should I celebrate My Last Note from Frida Lawrence? Yesterday, Lou brought his cables, gave my car a jump, and later I drove Dan to Ypsilanti. I was on my way to work. While Jim took some typing paper when he was here, we barely asked each other. This poem's for them. I think they'll like it.